Today I have for you this underrated model from Girard-Perregaux for review. Laureato, the watch that surprised me. I've been a Girard-Perregaux fan for a long time. I owned the older Richelieu model, which I sold and now regret it. It was kinda rare model. I always liked Laureato, but after spending some time with this watch, I realized that this is the watch that checks a lot of boxes for me personally. So let's see what it offers. With Girard-Perregaux Laureato, you have a great design, in-house movement, and a luxury brand with a rich history. JP is not in the Holy Trinity, obviously, but the brand is in the same realm as GOC and Zenith. On the wrist, it is a very sleek, thin, comfortable to wear watch. I don't like large watches in general, but with this model it's different. Integrated bracelet watches have their own beauty. Luxury sports watches with a sort of industrial design. But integrated bracelet watches can be also tricky. Depending on the design, some of them will wear larger compared to regular watches. With Laureato, I was surprised when I tried this 42mm version on my wrist. It did not feel like a large watch at all. In fact, if I wouldn't know, I would think this watch is 40mm. For comparison, my PRX wears larger than it is. With Laureato, I was pretty sure that the only 38mm version would be good for my wrist. That's exactly why I love my Tudor Royal in 38, because it is a perfect size for me. And now here's another tricky thing with integrated bracelet watches. Bracelets usually are with no micro adjustments, so you have to be kinda lucky to find a perfect fit for your wrist. Even with half links, which are presented here, it could be challenging. I got lucky with the Girard-Perregaux. I would love to try Laureato in 38mm as well to compare. But this 42 is so great on my 70cm wrist that I literally don't want to take it off. I wanna say big thanks to Wrist Time Co. for lending me this watch for review. If you want to buy this watch, or if you're looking for Amiga, Rolex, Panerai or any other luxury watch, check out their website. They always have interesting watches for sale. They are located in Canada, but they ship to the US also. So let's talk more about the model that I have for you today. This is Girard-Perregaux Laureato, reference number 81010 from 2021. This is a 42mm version with a black dial. Lug to lug is 49, which is good for a 42mm watch, and the watch is only 11mm tall. The case is quite complicated and made out of few layers. The plate case, the round ring, and the octagonal bezel. All the layers are with different finishing. The brush case, the polished round ring, and the brushed octagonal bezel with polished sides. You can see that the brushing in the case and the top ring have different patterns. The case plate brushing has a horizontal and slightly more rough brushing with elegantly polished bevels. Different brushing combined with polished parts makes the design deep and visually interesting. The slightly domed sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating provides a clear view of this beautiful, textured with Clou de Paris guilloche dial. Along with Clou de Paris guilloche pattern, the dial has applied markers with the applied JP logo on the top. The hands and markers are with lume. The date window is beveled and the date wheel color matches the dial, which is nice and makes a date blend in nicely with the dial. A slightly raised ring with indices adds additional depth to the dial. The watch comes with a quick set date, 100 meters of water resistance and a screwed-on crown with the GP logo on it. The crown is big enough and easy to grab and operate. The watch has a tapered brushed bracelet with polished center links and polished bevels. It does play great with polished and brushed case of the watch. It has a butterfly style clasp with GP logo. GP01800 in-house movement is in this watch. It is an automatic movement with 54 hours of power reserve. You can see that the movement occupies most of the case and made true to size. Not like some other companies that put smaller movements in the bigger cases. The movement is nicely decorated and definitely deserves the transparent back case with sapphire crystal on the back. I want to mention that it is not an investment watch. No one knows for sure, but as of right now you won't make any money with this model. And this is actually a good thing, because you can buy this watch and maybe even get it with a discount. This watch is safe from hype, for now. If you see someone wearing JP Laureato, most likely it would be a watch enthusiast. I understand that some people see a strong resemblance with Royal Oak, but to me it is a different watch. It is not a ripoff of Royal Oak. The watch has its own history and its own design. With this watch you don't have to pay a premium for the hype. With this model you have two main options with 42 and 38mm case sizes, plus a smaller quartz version at 34. Girard-Perregaux brand was founded in 1791 and it is actually older than Patek Philippe or JLC, for example. They have a rich history as a watchmaker with some insane watches and movements. GP joined the battle of integrated watches long time ago. It is actually pretty hard to say who was taking inspiration from whom back then. Girard-Genta with the Royal Oak has created a new wave for luxury steel sports watches, but there were other players also. For example, Rolex with its oyster quartz was one of the first to experiment with that type of case. The Rolex date 5100 with integrated bracelet case was introduced in 1970. Yes, 2 years before the Royal Oak. The famous watch designed by Girard-Genta was revealed in 1972. 3 years later, in 1975, Girard-Perregaux introduced their Laureato. It was a two-tone watch with a distinguished integrated bracelet design and was powered by the quartz movement. A year later, in 1976, Patek Philippe came out with its Nautilus, also designed by Girard-Genta. So 6 watches by major brands were launched at that time. 3 out of them were designed by Girard-Genta, Royal Oak from AP 1972, Nautilus from Patek Philippe 1976, the Jumbo Engineer from IWC 1976. And 3 were not. Laureato from JP 1975, Oyster Quartz from Rolex 1970, the mass production of the model started in 1977, and 222 from Vacheron Constantin in 1977. All these watches share some common design elements and 70s spirit. Despite those shared similarities, they were not identical. It was different watches with shared design language. Not all of these models are still being produced, but those which are still around continue to carry their own heritage. So what's my conclusion about this GP Laureato? I think it is a perfect everyday watch with integrated bracelet from a reputable brand that you can actually buy, and maybe even with a discount. I find this model more elegant compared to the Royal Oak and less compared to Nautilus. So it's in between, but definitely has its own vibe and look. The watch doesn't feel fragile and I think it can be worn every day with no problem. That's how I would be wearing this watch. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about this Girard-Perregaux Laureato. Do you think it is a ripoff of Royal Oak or it has its own design? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It probably won't make any difference for you, but it really does help the channel, so I can get my hands on more interesting watches for you. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time. Bye now and take care.